When was the last time you truly sat still? Not lounging with your phone in hand, scrolling endlessly, not half listening to a podcast while pacing the neighborhood, not watching yet another episode on Netflix to relax. I'm asking about real stillness, sitting quietly with nothing to do and nowhere to be. Recently, I stepped away from everything. No writing deadlines, no inbox clearing marathons, no publishing schedules. I spent my days simply being. Reading a little, but mostly moving through long, aimless walks by the water, basking in the sun, sipping coffee beneath towering pine trees, indulging in naps and soaking in warm, fragrant baths in the late afternoons. Truth be told, I hadn't planned on stepping back. What forced my hand was a sudden, heavy creative block, a wall I hadn't seen coming. It felt like my body and mind were jointly pleading, pause, rest. We can't go on like this. Maybe it was their gentle way of warning me that burnout was creeping dangerously close. Have you ever felt that pull? That deep exhaustion from chasing routines? That silent frustration from carrying the invisible weight of always having to achieve? That gnawing feeling that no matter how much you do, it's never quite enough? You're not alone. Over that quiet week, I kept returning to one question. Why are we so driven to always do? Why has society convinced us that our worth hinges on how busy or productive we are? Somewhere along the way, we started equating motion with meaning. We confused constant action with living a meaningful life. Maybe that's why the mere act of sitting still fills many of us with guilt. Maybe that's why the voice inside us never stops whispering about the emails waiting, the projects looming, the things left undone. When was the last time you simply asked yourself, how do I feel? How do I want to rest today? In this culture of perpetual motion, we've forgotten how to simply be. We've traded our peace for overloaded calendars and endless to-do lists. And predictably, anxiety, burnout, and stress disorders are skyrocketing. Perhaps it's time we remember we are human beings, not human doings. In many professional circles, idleness is practically taboo. Doing nothing is seen as laziness, a moral failing. No wonder so many of us feel uneasy if we're not ticking boxes every hour of the day. No wonder we keep pushing past our limits even when exhaustion sets in. This hyper-productivity culture doesn't just stay at the office door either. It seeps into our homes, our weekends, our very sense of self. And when it lingers unchecked, the consequences are devastating. A hollowed-out creativity, a drained spirit, a weary heart. Consider athletes. Overtraining is a serious condition that diminishes performance and endangers health. Creatives aren't so different. Writers, artists, thinkers, people whose passions and professions blur together are especially vulnerable. Too much output without enough inner replenishment leads to a creative implosion. You find yourself overwhelmed, yet still somehow ashamed for not doing even more. A scene from Pixar's Soul captures this so beautifully. Lost souls aren't all that different from people in the zone. The zone is wonderful, but when the joy becomes an obsession, we lose touch with living. The zone, or what psychologist Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi described as flow state, is incredible when balanced. It's that sweet spot where focus and fulfillment collide. But even Csikszentmihalyi warned that flow has a dark side. While flow activities improve the quality of life by ordering the mind, they can become addictive. At that point, the self becomes a captive of order, losing the ability to deal with life's messier ambiguities. In other words, it's possible to become so consumed with doing that you forget how to live. One afternoon during my break, I sat on a wooden bench beneath two mighty pines, coffee in hand, just watching the light dance through the needles and play on the grass. Nothing urgent waited for me. I wasn't achieving anything. I wasn't checking anything off. I was simply present. The Dutch call this practice Niksen, intentionally doing nothing to relieve stress. The Italians have a similar concept, il dolce far niente, or the sweetness of doing nothing. Neither term glorifies laziness. Rather, they honor the quiet, nourishing pleasure of simply existing. There's a simple beauty in watching clouds drift, waves lap the shore, snowflakes swirl, or the sun melt into the horizon. These small moments, often lost in the blur of busyness, are what feed our souls. Think of Niksen and Il Dolce Far Niente as invitations to loosen your grip on productivity and allow your mind to roam freely, to float in a vast, boundless space where creativity can gently resurface. Interestingly, modern research echoes this ancient wisdom. Studies from institutions like INSEAD have shown that mind-wandering and intentional idleness aren't wastes of time. They're essential for nurturing imagination, solving complex problems, and generating fresh ideas. Doing nothing fosters states of mind that boost creativity. Sometimes slacking off is the smartest thing we can do for our mental well-being. When you create that unpressured space for yourself, something profound happens. You rediscover the simple joy of being alive. Disconnect to reconnect. The biggest thief of attention and peace today? Social media. Rarely do we scroll our way to true inspiration. More often, it leaves us feeling inadequate or restless. Consider removing social apps from your phone, even if temporarily. Free those stolen minutes and use them to simply sit, breathe, and exist. Release the guilt. You don't judge trees for growing at different rates. You don't criticize rivers for flowing slower one day than another. Why then do you judge your own need for rest? Every being in nature has rhythms, seasons. You are no exception. Pause without shame. Create tiny stillness rituals. Instead of multitasking during your coffee break, just savor your drink in silence. Instead of catching up on emails over lunch, maybe gaze out the window. Tiny daily moments of stillness can do wonders for your nervous system. Devote a day to doing nothing. Choose one day each week, or at least half a day, to unhook from all obligations. Call it your still Sunday or pause day. No chores, no expectations, just wandering walks, cozy books, good conversations, or maybe just lying on the grass. Spend more time in nature. Nature doesn't rush, yet everything gets done. Time in green spaces lowers cortisol, calms the mind, and helps you reconnect with the slow, steady rhythm of life itself. Author Elif Shafak once wrote, "Spiritual maturity is not about focusing on fragments, but embracing the whole." Through a different lens, I see this as a reminder. Don't obsess over daily achievements at the cost of your wholeness. You are valuable not for how much you do, but for the simple fact that you exist. There will always be another goal, another task, another email. But if you race through life endlessly doing, you risk arriving at the end not triumphant but tired and full of regrets. Your mind needs stillness just as much as your body needs rest. So gift yourself a few moments each day to simply be. Allow your soul to linger in the peace of now. Savor it. Because ultimately, life isn't only about the mountains you climb or the oceans you cross. It's about the sunsets you pause to watch along the way. So slow down, breathe, rest, and remember, you are a human being. Let yourself be.